As discussed in yesterday's video, Bitcoin had a decision to make, and the bulls pulled down their trousers and gave the bears the old 1-2 pumperoo. But most importantly, as we've been discussing, this 6-hour cross holds the key to all of our bullish hopes and wet dreams. But the question is, will it be enough, or will the bears pull down their panties and moisten things up a bit? And Pastrami Blanket assures us that Bitcoin is a farce. Maybe if he tried putting those glasses on his face, he could read some words. I am your host, Sizzle Me Timbers, and if you came for the cold hard facts, the truth, and absolute dump trucks, then you're in the right place. Good golly gumdrops, we have a lot to be jumping into in this webisode, guys. More little itsy bits of FUD, but most importantly, the TA has played out. As we talked in our video yesterday, Bitcoin right now will decide everything. It all comes down to this. And in fact, we did have a decision. Shortly after that video was uploaded, we did get a decision. We did get a breakout. However, it is still extremely early on in this breakout. The volume has been rather low and a bit unimpressive, to be honest. However, this is the moment that the last thing you want to do is oogle your eyes somewhere else. So you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe to absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And without any further scoochie-magoo, let's dive in. Imagine being a crypto YouTuber. Absolutely insane, guys. So starting out here on this weekly chart, what an absolutely rounded bottom. In fact, guys, as we said back on May 19th, and we've said literally in every single video since then, I'm probably going to end up having to make a compilation clip that I don't even want to make about just like the, 10, 12 times that we've said about this being a bottom, just because, again, everything about this has been screaming bottom, and we're in kind of that crunch or munch time here. And again, just because we're seeing what we're seeing right now, again, does not mean at all that what I think that this is the bottom and what a few other people think that this is the bottom, it does not confirm anything just yet. Even though I still believe this is the bottom, and just because we got a little itsy bitsy breakout to the upside, it's really nothing that huge, guys. I mean, especially on symmetrical triangles, I cannot tell you the amount of times where I've seen this happen, okay? This, and then this. It happens actually fairly often. So even though, again, that's not what I'm saying is going to happen, in fact, I don't think that is the case, all I'm saying is just because we've had a little itsy-bitsy move to the upside and we've broken out of this symmetrical triangle here on this hourly chart, and it looks pretty good. We're coming to that first level of resistance, especially around this fettuccine level here. 38,000 is obviously a pretty big level, and then 39, 40, it's all big. It's all huge levels. And obviously you can see the point of control here right about 37.5, 37.8. That's even more important. But my point is, just because we're having this little move to the upside, when people write bearish things in the comments saying there's no confirmation yet, they're absolutely right? There is no confirmation yet. We're having a nice little move to the upside. Most of the time, we actually do eventually get a retest. If this even is a bullish breakout confirmed, we do sometimes get a retest, go lower, and then blast off, okay? But then again, that doesn't mean just because we have that retest that it has to hold. You can have failed retests, and then we can swing the other way. So for the people that are bearish, leaving comments or tweeting saying, well, there's no confirmations, I mean, technically they're right. Like, this is still very early on in this pattern. But the point is, we did get a massive move out of this, and luckily so far, it has been to the upside. Because imagine this. If we would have, over, let's say, 24, 48 hours ago, instead of swinging up here and breaking out of here, if we would have done the opposite, came down here, maybe even came down to here, imagine the sentiment right now. Imagine it. Because if that's what would have happened, then at that point, I think it casts a lot of doubt on a lot of things, right? The length of the market, the bull market continuing, and everything like that. But if we go to the 6-hour chart, guys, this is what I think is the most important. And we've been talking about this for over a week now at this point, but it looks as though we are finally going to be getting this, and it sped it up a little bit because we had this nice move to the upside. So we see bullish momentum shaping up a little bit here, but we see this 21 getting ready to cross back above the 50-day moving average. Now, that is exactly what we want to see happen. Okay, keep in mind, 6-hour crosses are obviously more important than a 4-hour cross or a 1-hour cross. Now, with this 4-hour, we actually did just get a bullish cross as well, with the 21 going above the 50 on the 4-hour chart, so that's good. We're seeing more bullish momentum come in here, and we're going to, I think, continue to see Bitcoin attempt over the next couple of days to really cement that bullish momentum and try to break these higher levels. But here's the thing. If it cannot break at least above 40,000 US dollars within the next, I want to say 2 days, if it cannot do that, then be prepared for a massive swing the opposite direction. There is like a time frame on this. Bitcoin is not just going to hold these certain levels forever, and if it fails, it's okay, we'll just wait a little bit and then it'll keep going up. No, if it fails, it's probably going to collapse the other way. So this is a very, very critical moment here. But again, 6-hour chart, last time we had a cross at all was back on May 12th, almost a month ago at this point. And again, that concretely spelled the top of the market, bearish cross. Now this is our first bullish cross with these same 6-hour chart moving averages. And yeah, again, I think that if we're going to, and I've been saying this for days, I think if we have the momentum, if we're going to see any amount of pumpage, it has to be fairly soon. And we're getting this bullish cross. This ultimately is me, in my opinion, thinking, you know, it's do or die time. If Bitcoin wants to shine, if this market wants to get back on track, it has to act now. It has to. And again, we talked about in yesterday's video about, you know, it was necessary. We had to break here, and we did, okay? Literally within 12 hours of posting that video, we got the breakout. Again, very underwhelming this far, but again, if you could, I mean, we could go back and look at patterns all day, which I'm not going to, but these patterns never just go straight up anyway. You know, this pattern, we could just see this, and then we'll look back and say, wow, that was an absolute confirmed breakout. But we have pullbacks along the way, and that's what we're getting right now. Another pullback to this 21 moving average on the 1-hour chart right here, trying to find support here. It's been holding there for a fair amount of time now. It looks like 1, 2, 3, like 8 or 9 hours or so, just trying to consolidate here right underneath this Fibonacci level of like 39,000. So Bitcoin is in a critical moment. The last thing we want to see right now is a failed retest. Now, if we come back down and we retest the top of this, let's say as long as we hold above 37,000, potentially wicking even to 36.5, that could still be absolutely fine, because I personally think we are going to get a retest anyway. I think we are going to get a retest, at which point the bears are going to say, look, it was a failed breakout. But in fact, Bitcoin could easily just have that retest and then bounce much higher. Like most symmetrical triangles, in my experience, do have retests, okay? And actually, as an example, okay, as a perfect example, because I don't just want to say that without an example, this is like the 3-year symmetrical triangle that we were tracking for years when nobody cared about Bitcoin. The reason we were so confident we were going to absolutely blast off. Here's a 3-year symmetrical triangle. And what do you see? We broke out of it here. We had a pretty long retest, and then we absolutely moonshotted to 65,000 US dollars, okay? Breakout from 8,000 all the way up to, I don't know, 10,000, 11,000. Got a little retest for weeks and weeks and weeks. This is on the weekly chart, so this was a long time. It doesn't look like that much data, but this is like 2 or 3 months where we were kind of just backtesting. And then we absolutely blasted off to 65,000, okay? So these patterns can be extremely, extremely strong patterns, symmetrical triangles. And yeah, I mean, my point is, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest symmetrical triangles it is the biggest symmetrical triangle in Bitcoin's history, but maybe it's one of the biggest symmetrical triangles in history, period. Point is, symmetrical triangles are very powerful, but usually, I mean, a lot of the times you do get those backtests. So my point is, blasting off a little bit here, I would actually prefer to see this come up a little bit more before getting a backtest. But yeah, that's one of the hardest things to gauge, I think. Overall, I think this is a bullish breakout, but we just got to wait for that confirmation. And when people say that, what they mean by a confirmation is kind of the breakout, retest, and then, you know, if it holds those levels concretely, and then blast back off, that's like the ultimate confirmation. And as well, Ethereum had a bearish cross with the 21 going below the 50, similar to like what Bitcoin did a while back. But we see Ethereum pumping through that. So that's absolutely very critical as well. And as well, the entire cryptocurrency market cap minus Bitcoin, so the entire altcoin market cap also had a bearish cross, and you see it kind of getting pumped through there as well. And guys, at this point, we're seeing these like bearish crosses and everything, but I think they're just a little less devious. I think they're a little less scary because the market has already put in absolutely massive droppage. Massive dumpage has already happened. So I think for the most part, again, I think the major shakeouts have already happened at this point. So even though we're getting some of these bearish cross, I think they're kind of just like lingering effects of how we crashed so fast. Now again, we're gonna have ups and downs throughout this recovery, as I've been saying the entire time. But overall, again, I don't necessarily think these are anything too scary. We're seeing them. You could label these death crosses, whatever. I think Bitcoin did have one on the. Yeah, this is like the daily chart. Yeah, death cross here on May 31st. Fast forward 3 days, and I mean, Bitcoin's trying to break out of this pattern to the upside. So overall, everything so far makes complete sense. This recovery is still going exactly as we would expect. And every single time, guys, keep in mind, before we go any further, we had this initial low, which I've been saying is the bottom since the day it happened. And then on this next one, most people were screaming, see, this is a bear market. Now they're quiet. Then we had this one screaming the same thing. This is a bear market. Now they're quiet. Then like a day or two later, same thing. This is a bear market. Now everyone is quiet. If you guys notice, you're not really seeing the people going out of their way to say, oh, this is a bear market, you're wrong, we're going below 20,000 anymore, because they're saying that on emotion, and now the price is up. So their convictions were not very strong anyway. And yeah, I mean, if you sold the bottom, I feel for you, but there's literally not there's a few people on YouTube who I think thrive off of just putting the most bearish sentiment out there possible. There are specific channels on YouTube. I don't even like watch them or really remember the names, but this has been going on for like the last 4 years. I've been making YouTube videos for like 3 years, and they've existed the entire time that I've been on YouTube. So for like 3 years, probably even before, way before that. But there are certain YouTube channels that will specifically only put very, 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 very bearish scenarios every single day. And once in a blue moon, they are right. And, you know, once in that blue moon, when they do get correct, then everybody looks at them like, oh, wow, you knew this the whole time. If you look back, their accuracy rate is like less than 5%. But the point is their channels grow very, very, very fast if they just put out very scary, bearish content. Because I think people are kind of like masochists. I feel like people kind of like pain. I feel like people like being unhappy. So when they see things like, oh, my investment's about to crash, this is interesting, right? It gives them a lot of interest. It's not usually very accurate. And at the end of the day, guys, the prevailing narrative of Bitcoin, everybody that's ever been bearish on Bitcoin has been proven wrong, okay? And that's just easily illustrated by this chart. Now, if this chart was exactly the opposite, if this chart was something like this, let's say Bitcoin did this for 10 years, and then the next 10 years were this would be a chart where the bears were 100% correct. But that's not what we see. What do we see? This is the actual chart that is in reality, not in our minds. This is not in our dreams. This is reality. This is the chart of Bitcoin. Now, there are ups and downs, but it's up. This is a bull market. It's been a bull market since Bitcoin was created. There are bear trends within the bull market. But at this point, if somebody has been bearish on Bitcoin since the beginning, they have been 100% wrong the entire time. It has gone up, and anybody that bought Bitcoin, there's even a chart that talks about this. It basically shows if you would have bought Bitcoin any time before these certain, like pretty much this entire zone, you would be in profit. Meaning, if you were bullish on Bitcoin, you were right, and if you were bearish on Bitcoin, you were wrong. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe. This is absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Make sure to get your hardware wallets and bonuses in the description below. Without any further ado,